I'm Roger Wood. I'm speaking with Joan O'Brien of the New Hampshire Animal Rights League, nhanimalrights.org. The group picketed at one time stores in New Hampshire that sold sports shoes made of cleats from kangaroo skins. The Agriculture Department of Australia calls it harvesting. Joan has a different opinion.
That's just a euphemism for shooting, harvest. I mean, you hear that in New Hampshire as well from hunters. What's interesting about that statement from I guess it's the Department of Agriculture, is these groups often will point to species health, like, do we have enough of these animals to not worry about them? We like to think about the individuals as well. There is an individual kangaroo behind there who is potentially suffering greatly as a result of this, and that matters as well. As far as I know, they don't have an accurate count of how many kangaroos they have in Australia, and therefore they can't really say whether the population is declining or not. And as for the regulations, these are goals, not guarantees. And we have that as well with like our humane slaughter laws in the US. It's a goal, but often it doesn't actually work out that way, and animals do end up suffering. And what I've read is that 40% of the kangaroos who are shot don't die immediately as intended in their regulations, but may wander off, injured and die slowly elsewhere. You really can't ensure that every person shooting a kangaroo is going to get them right in between the eyes and they're going to die instantly. It's impossible. And they do
just like hunting here. You shoot a deer,
exactly,
and you may not kill it.
Right. You've got less experienced hunters making mistakes, but every mistake is a big deal for the one who the mistake was made on, for sure. And they have guidelines for how to kill the joeys in the most humane way. That they mention the word humane. Again, it's a goal, not a guarantee.
The young ones.
I'm looking at a table where they say, for the small furless ones, a single forceful blow to the base of the skull, sufficient to destroy the functional capacity of the brain. That's how they're instructed to kill them. So it's pretty gruesome. And I think most people are appalled when they hear about this.
Well, I'm appalled to hear about it right now. That this happens. In my mind, it's one thing whether you kill an animal to sustain yourself, like with meat. I don't hear anything about anybody eating kangaroo meat as any kind of delicacy, and so they strip the skin off them, and most of it goes to waste.
I think, in fact, they do use the whole kangaroo. I can't confirm that, but it's a popular meat in pet food in Australia. And kangaroo meat is becoming more popular around the world for reasons I don't understand. And so people do eat it, but I don't know if those are the same kangaroos being shot in the night, because I wouldn't think so, because you wouldn't be able to ensure that the meat was safe. I would think that maybe the meat from these ones shot for their skins go to pet food, things like that. But I haven't looked into it for sure.
So it's mostly cleats over here for commercial sale?
Yes, it seems to be, for whatever reason, that's what they're used for.
And you say that really they could be substituted by leather.
Well, they could be. We would hope that they would use a synthetic material rather than any material from any animal, and that's certainly possible in this advanced day and age.
Your group protested outside Dick's Sporting Goods. I think the one in Newington or Portsmouth.
It was Manchester.
Oh, Manchester, at the Mall of New Hampshire.
Yes.
or near the mall.
Yeah, it's
What,
inside the mall.
oh yeah, what kind of reception did you get from the fine folks at Dick's?
Well, of course, management wasn't happy to see us, but we noticed a great deal of interest from the customers who were shopping that day. They were trying to get close to hear what we were saying. They were
Mm.
surprised. Um, and that was really the whole idea, is just to if let them know. They have a right to know that what they're buying is a product of torture, potentially. And that was really the mission. And we also to want to upset the management of the store so that Dick's will drop those brands of shoes. That's kind of how these things work.
I would have asked whether they had any plans to drop that, but they didn't respond anyway.
Well, at that level, they wouldn't be able to make a decision. It would have to be corporate management. And
Which I did try.
yeah, okay, that's great. They're probably very, very unhappy with all this publicity right now. And they may well drop the brands like the other big companies have.
I actually became aware of this protest by the visual that I saw of the Rights League standing outside. I think was it outside totally, or was it inside the mall
It
and
was
outside
actually
the store?
inside. It was inside.
Hmm. Hmm. Um,
Yes.
you weren't kicked out or anything, were you? Your group?
Oh, well, yes, we were asked to leave.
Mm.
Yes. That's so, they don't want people saying bad things about their merchandise. So yeah, they asked us to leave, and we did.
I wonder if your protest discouraged any shoppers because they were made aware of this use of kangaroo skin.
Well, we hope that it did, and there's actually a list of do not buy shoes. We had some with us in case anyone was curious, a shopper, and it lists the
Mm.
shoes that are made with the kangaroo leather, and so that they can avoid them because it's very difficult to identify them. They don't tell you when you go into a shoe store these days, the boxes aren't out. The boxes are in the back room, and that's where they list the materials. So one wouldn't
Mm.
know just picking up a shoe. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah, to have that knowledge anyway.
Yes.
You might buy it anyway, but
Some people
you
might
should know
buy it
you're
anyway.
supporting.
It's
Yeah,
also called K leather. Sometimes they refer to it as K leather. And I've heard there are even new names coming out to obscure what it really is.
hmm. I hark back to the original thought that the Department of Agriculture in Australia allows this, controls it, and thinks it's sustainable. I suppose it's I thought of this in a light term. I thought, are they doing this so they're not hopping down the streets of Melbourne? Well, they do hop around a lot.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason they allow it. It's to control the population. They call it culling.
Mm.
We have sort of a similar thing here in New Hampshire with the deer. I don't think we call it culling, but part of the reason we allow deer hunting is presumably we have, too many and we need to do something about it. I'm not sure about that. I think if we left the predators alone, like the coyotes, they would take care of culling the deer population in a natural way. But instead, we like to insert ourselves and try and manage nature. So that is one reason Australia allows it, the perception that there's too many kangaroos and they're a nuisance. And they allow people to sell these things, which we don't allow. That's called market hunting. That was something that used to be allowed, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago. You could go out in the wild and kill something and then sell it. That market hunting is not allowed in New Hampshire, and for good reason, because if people can do that, that's how we almost lost the beaver. People were killed almost every beaver they could find so they could sell the pelt to Europe, the settlers here. And that way things will definitely go extinct. So we do try, and we don't allow that here, but I guess it's still happening in Australia.
What are your thoughts on any killing of animals for any reason?
I am opposed to intentionally and unnecessarily killing an animal.
For any reason?
If
For
it's
someone's
unnecessary,
sustainability? Hmm. Okay.
I don't think that's a necessary reason. I think if a bear is charging you and your life is in danger, okay, it's necessary.
Mm.
You're starving to death and the only thing lying around or the only thing there is an animal, necessary. But most of our killing of animals is not necessary.
I think I was reading, and I think this happens on the east coast of the US or Canada, of the killing of certain animals by clubbing them over the head. I forget what the animal is. Um, a seal, maybe?
Yeah, that's the seals. Yeah, that's a terrible trade, and it does still go on. The I think it's an annual seal hunt. It takes place in
Mm,
Canada, and they don't do that for reasons of culling. They do that because they can sell the skin of the baby seal.
right.
Yeah, yeah, that's quite a horrendous spectacle.
What is your goal here? You're not going to stop it entirely. You're not even going to stop the kangaroo trade.
Well, we might help push things along. And the U.S., the federal government does have some legislation that would ban the import of kangaroo parts into our country. That would eliminate at least the legal selling of these soccer cleats. Although oftentimes people continue, despite a law, to do something illegally.
Mm.
So that would help. The skins are going to other countries. They're going to Germany. They're going to Japan. So yes, there's going to be a market besides us. But if everyone does something, that's how you shut something down. Everybody
So there could be a
does what
total
they can.
ban here. There could be a total ban in the US.
Yes. There's a bill. I think I don't know the status. It doesn't look like it's moving at all, but it's a
Mm.
federal bill. Let's see, it's called the Kangaroo Protection Act.
Mm. Is there
Yep.
a
And if
kangaroo? Go ahead.
if anybody listening to this podcast would like to see that passed, you would contact your U.S. representative. It's either Pappas or Custer, depending on where you live, and let your senator know you support the Kangaroo Protection Act.
Well, if anybody knew listening to this podcast how they are killed and how they could die, they might want to call them their
Yes,
senators.
I think so. That's kind of the idea, the truth.
The other trade that originates in Australia or did was the killing of the koalas. And they were killed at one time for their fur to use as clothing, fur clothing. And they don't do that anymore, but the koalas are still in danger. I mean, they had tremendous fires that
Yes.
that thinned their population, and also, I guess, the harvesting of the tree that they need uh,
Hmm.
to be sustainable. And they're only in one state in Australia, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's,
It's the deforestation. It's the loss of habitat. That's leading to their decline, and it's just a shame that we humans, the way we treat things, we deprive other species of the only thing they need to live. Because of our own interests. Um, we seem to find their animal that serves us.
yeah, and I think that that state in Australia is the only place where they could be found at all. The koalas I'm speaking of. I saw some horrendous pictures of them, their furs being piled up on trucks. I just stunned by it, Joan.
Yeah, yeah. Those pictures are absolutely shocking. And you can go back in the archives and you can see, buffalo hides stacked up from back. I guess it would be like the 1800s where they almost wiped out the buffalo, and it's just.
Mm,
And in that case, I think there's a documentary out now by Ken Burns about the buffalo hunt. I haven't been able
yeah,
to bring myself to watch it, but in that
Mhm.
case, it really was, they were leaving the carcass behind, so it was wasted. They call that in the hunting world, they call that wanton waste, and it definitely goes against the creed of a hunter. You don't waste part of an animal.
Is that on PBS, by the way?
I
That
think it
series?
is, yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It should be very enlightening, but I can see why you may not want to watch it.
Yeah, I have read
Too
about it.
scary,
I
too
think,
too
yeah.
nasty.
Yes, exactly. I already know,
Mm.
so I might not watch it.
Your organization, nhanimalrights.org, how many members do you think you have?
We've got thousands of followers. We've got about 150 dues paying members, and we've got a board of directors which consists of 8 people. This organization was actually founded in 1977.
Mm.
So we're coming up on our 50th birthday. It was one of the first organizations to use the word animal rights in its name in the US. And we're very proud of that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for that. Um, how do you sustain your organization? By donations,
Yes,
memberships?
it's entirely donations and some grants. None of us are paid. We're all unpaid volunteers. We're a nonprofit, a registered nonprofit. And yeah, that's how we pay for our activities and our campaigns.
Why do you think people have not heard of the NH Animal Rights League? Or maybe they have. I haven't. I hadn't until that
Yeah.
protest.
No, I don't think it's widely known unless you're seeking out something like that. No, that's actually, I found it just because I was typing in looking for animal groups in New Hampshire. We would like to be more of a household name if you have any suggestions.
Well, maybe a list doing shows like this would
Well,
help.
yes, I would hope so.
And maybe after they hear this, some more of the media will take a bite.
That would be
One would hope
terrific.
so. Mm. Um, your website, tell us about that.
Our website tries to, encapsulate our mission, and our mission is basically to help any animal that needs our help. And we focus on New Hampshire because that's where we have the most ability to, bring about change.
Mm.
So we follow and support legislation to help animals, and we oppose legislation that would hurt them. That's an important aspect of our work. We have some fun social gatherings. We have an annual vegan Thanksgiving. We've got a vegan summer picnic. Um, you'll often see us at events with exhibits to educate the public about animal issues. Those are some of the big things we do.
Do you lobby directly? Do you lobby directly at the State House?
No, we're not. We don't lobby. We're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. We will testify in support of bills, or we're just there to provide more information. We're not lobbyists. No.
I suspect that people hearing this, go ahead. But I suspect that people listening to this and listening to some of the horrors these preachers have gone through might want to join or at least donate to your group in some form.
Well, we have a donate button on the website. You can also join our mailing list, which we recommend. We don't send tons of email, maybe just a few a month. And that way you can keep up with what we're doing. Come to one of our potlucks or our vegan meetups and see if you like the crowd, and join if you want to, or just keep following.
Did you have anything to add to this?
I think that maybe, you're mentioning, well, we're not very well known. I think that things are moving in a direction in general, in this country at least, towards recognizing the ways that animals are being hurt and caring more about that. And also with the food people are realizing that, yes, you can live a perfectly healthy life and eat delicious food without eating animals. All of that information just seems to be bubbling up. And I think we're just going to be sort of part of that for anyone who's coming to those realizations and wants some community, so wants to get to know and be around like-minded individuals.
Just an aside that my son and his girlfriend are both vegetarians, and they won't eat any meat. And if they come for a holiday here, they are served the alternative to hamburger, and they like
Mm-hmm.
it. So maybe
That's
it's something
terrific.
you have, yeah, maybe it's something you have to, um, I don't know, get used to, uh, train yourself to do. It's not bad. I mean, it's tasty. I hear. I mean, I'll try it myself.
Yeah.
But they are very strict in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't find it difficult because I just know why I'm not eating them, and so it's easy just to choose in the alternative. Because you don't want to hurt them unnecessarily, and there's really no, humane way to kill someone who doesn't want to die. And people will try and tell you that they're going out to the local farmer and the animals have a great life, one bad day. Again, that's a goal. It's not a guarantee. There's a lot of suffering even on small farms, especially
Mm.
dairy.
Joan O'Brien is the executive director, New Hampshire Animal Rights League, nhanimalrights.org. This is Roger Wood.